name is Kanushri and I'm the host for today. So, hi everyone, welcome again. And it's so wonderful to have you all here. We dive into today's Sad and Reading and Writing 800 Masterclass. Let me take a moment to introduce the organization making this possible. Let's Unbound. Let's Unbound partners with students across more than 25 countries to help them build strong STEM foundations, practical life skills, and lasting academic confidence. Their mission is both ambitious and deeply human to ensure every student has developed their essential life skills by 18 and is on track to reach their bigger goals by 35. Guided by personalized support and genuine mentorship, through programs spanning skill development, gifted assessments, college preparation, and Ivy League pathways, Let's Unbound has supported over 4,000 learners, delivered upwards of 125,000 teaching hours, and earned a global rating of 4.9 out of 5. Those numbers speak to something real, a consistent commitment to helping students not just perform, but grow. As we get started today, I'd encourage you to think beyond the test. The thinking, the strategy, the discipline you build here. It travels with you long after exam season ends. Over to you, Namrata.
Hi everyone, I hope you can all hear me. Yes, and I hope to have a very fruitful session with all of you. So, I want lots of thumbs up coming from all of you, okay, once the class starts. Yes, so are we all here? Is the screen clear to you all? Yes?
Yes,
So,
Namrata.
thumbs up's coming? Yes, thank you, Kanushri. Yes, so let's get started. Now, our agenda for today is subject verb agreement. I have mentioned verbs too because I've already covered one class on verbs and that was on the verb tense errors. So the topic comes under the domain of conventions of standard English, that's your grammar. And by strategy, I mean that besides the process of elimination, we also need to work on the concepts of grammar. Please understand that this portion of your SAT-RW requires basic concepts of grammar which are different than what you've been taught in school. Now, before we proceed to today's topic, a little bit about myself. I have been a SAT tutor for the reading and writing or the verbal ability since more than 20 years. I started my career in the year 2003 and I've had the privilege and the benefit of being trained by some of the best Uber trainers. So I've been very fortunate and I've also been a master trainer. That means I've also taught other teachers, I've trained them. I've seen the SAT transition from the paper based format to its present digital adaptive format. Yes, the questions have sometimes become harder or simpler. Now, please remember your reading and writing, or RW as it's called, is slightly subjective. What's one hard for one student is easy for the other. Now, before we delve into subject verb agreement, let's move on and understand the test first. Just like all the other exams that we give, entrance exams or the school exams, we need to know the pattern and understand this test better. Now, your digital SAT is out of 1600. Nobody fails this test because the minimum that you can get in each section is 200. So your score lies between 400 to 1600. By reading and writing, we do not mean any written section where you write the answers. Please understand, you're reading and writing the entire section or entire module as we call it, okay, is of multiple choice. You'll have four answer choices with one correct answer. Now, why is it important to know this? The reason is then you know at least this much that you should answer all questions. At least, even if you're running short of time, you should answer all questions because there's no negative marking, right? Okay, so you have two modules in each in your math, and in your reading and writing. 27 questions, 32 minutes. That means almost a minute per question. Now, what do we mean by writing then if it's not a written part? So, let's go deeper into the reading and writing section. Your reading is consisting of two domains, information and ideas, craft and structure, and these are basically your reading comprehension questions. In one part, that is information and ideas, the college board, that's the test taking body, is testing your logical reasoning skills. Yes, hence you have questions like inferences. In your craft and structure, they are testing your ability to understand the relationship between ideas or how the ideas are logically put, how an idea grows in a certain text, whether you can discern it. Because you'll all be going as undergrad students, so whether you can follow the texts which are given to you in the written form or in the form of lectures. If you're able to follow the logical flow of ideas, that's very important. Your writing section, that is standard English conventions, this domain is testing you on your grammar skills, around 6 to 7 main grammar skills. Now, these are different from what you've been taught in your school. Please remember, this is an international test. Yes, so what we are learning in school across the world might be different. Hence, there are 6 to 7 rules which you have to learn as per the college board. Unlearn just for this test, okay, what you've learned in school, and learn what is taught in the classes for the SAT prep. Your expression of ideas, transition, and rhetorical synthesis. Now, this is my favorite domain. Why? Because this is a domain in which you can get 100% accuracy. Your, I would say, margin of subjectivity is almost zero. And this area is testing you on your ability to discern relevant from irrelevant information. Whether you can scan a document and pick up the points which answer your question. So that is why this is a test of your college readiness. Moving on, now, I've already covered out of these 6 grammar rules, I've covered pronouns, plurals and possessives, and verb tenses. The agenda for today is subject verb agreement. I hope the screen is clear to you. If it's clear, please give a thumbs up. Yes? Please give a thumbs up, everyone. Are your icons active? Can I move on? Yes? Please wake up. So, coming to your verb tenses. Thank you, Ruchika. Yes, so in the previous class, we did your past, present, future tense. And in today's class, we will be doing subject verb agreement. So, she speaks, they speak, etc. Let's understand this more closely. Now, your subject and verb agreement, we need to first understand what is a subject. The subject is the noun that performs the action. Please be very clear. Subject is that noun that performs the action. Yes, your main verb is the one which tells the action which the subject has performed. It gives you a time clue when the action took place, okay, and it is closest to the subject. Now, this is very clear because there can be more than one noun in a sentence and more than one verb also in a sentence. So, what is your main verb? And this was a very relevant question that one of the students had raised. Ma'am, if there are more than one verb, then how do I know which is the main verb? Your main verb is the one that is closest to the subject. Okay, it is just not telling you an action, it is also telling you, with the use of helping verbs, the time of the action. Are we good over here? So let's now move. This is what a typical question looks like. Just give me a second. Yes, the bar was closing my screen. So I always read the question first. Which choice completes the text so that it conforms to the conventions of standard English? Yes. And then I look at the answer choices. Oh my God, I see so many verbs in it. So what should it be? In the periodic table, an element's atomic number indicates how many protons there are in an atom of the element. For example, a calcium atom blank, 20 protons. Professor Raymond Chang explains this concept in more detail in the textbook chemistry. So, what's your answer? Please put it in the chat box, all of you. Is it A, B, C, or D? Yes? What's your answer? I can just see one answer in the chat box. Let me open it and see. B, very good. Ryan Khan. Okay, very good, Ruchika. I want more people answering. Let's make it more interactive. Even some wrong answers would make this class more interesting. Yes? Okay. Deepthi Singh, I can't see your answer. Okay. Yes. Great. Now let's move on to the next question. Now, this was just a sample of what a typical question looks like. Now, in your subject verb agreement, what are they testing you on? Okay, very simple. If your subject is singular, your verb must also be singular. Singular subject, singular verb. Plural subject, plural verb. Please note, verbs with S ending are not plural. Nouns with S ending are plural, and that is also not a thumb rule. Okay. So, news, for example, is not plural. That's what information is called, news. Yes, but that's not plural. So, verbs with S ending are not plural, they are singular. So, she studies, they study. He studies, they study. Okay. It studies, they study. I hope this is clear. Moving on. Your college board gives you quite difficult sentences by separating the subject from the verbs and creating a confusion. For example, in this sentence, the old library, which houses rare manuscripts and ancient texts, are open to the public every weekend. Can you put in the chat box what is the error? What is the error over here? What is the subject and what is the error? I'm sure you can type a little bit, all of you. Yes? What is the error in this sentence? Can you put it in the chat box? I can't see anybody typing over here. Yes? What is the error in this sentence? Nobody's answering. Okay, I would have expected some more answers coming in. Now, the old library is your subject and the verb is. Singular noun, singular verb. But what does SAT do? Your SAT puts a non essential phrase or element and separates the subject from its verb. Now, how do I know it is non essential? I know it is non essential because if I block this portion, which houses rare manuscripts and ancient texts, and I just say the old library is open to the public every weekend, my syntax remains the same. Firstly, my structure of the sentence is correct, and the thought is still complete. Now, how do I recognize my non essential elements? Your non essential elements are either between two dashes, two commas, or in parentheses. What is parenthesis? Your brackets. So they are recognizable by this structure. And the purpose of giving them is to separate the subject from the verb. Now, this doesn't happen in all the sentences. Please remember, usually your non essential elements, okay, if they start with which, they're preceded by a comma and usually indicate towards a non essential element if there's a comma in the end. Your that is not usually preceded by a comma, and that means this information is relevant. Yes, so she's taking a course that focuses on environmental sustainability. No comma over here. Okay, it is essential to the passage. You cannot remove it. You will change the structure and the thought of the passage. Yes, the car that I bought last week turned out to be a reliable and fuel efficient car. If I had put this in comma from that till last week, okay, firstly, that would be wrong because that is not preceded by a comma. Okay, secondly, okay, this is essential because it is having no comma before it. Yes, I would have